cooperative, and I think we found a home for this event for the next years to come.
Right on.
And we also, if you don't already know, Coach's 50th birthday is coming up Monday. We have a big cake. The passion bucket is full. Happy birthday, Rick. I trust that some of you will want a piece after the cut. I do not know how long Coach Huffman will stay. He does have a builder's event, I believe, that follows this. He's coming from his press conference at Morgan Center. I trust that we're going to give him a rousing 8 clap when he arrives. We have a celebrity in the recruiting ranks and our very own. Even with the strep throat, he is here to give us a little talk about UCLA's class and some recruiting news. Brandon Huffman.
I apologize to anybody who I coughed on or breathed on. You guys want the news? You gotta take the germs that come with it. If any of you guys haven't heard, Torian White did fax a letter of intent to you. I'll give you kind of a brief synopsis of what happened. I was there at Fox when it went down. As he walked out of the little waiting room to go into the green room, his dad whispered UCLA. I ran over to my computer, walked over to my computer. I'm not doing anything running today. Walked over to my computer, typed on Twitter, just needed to hit send, went to go post on the message board, Torian White, ... is a Bruin, had it on Twitter. Knowing Torian, I've gotten to know over the course of the year, he's a very quiet and shy kid. As I watched the press conference and I watched the people USC had on, I knew it wasn't coming off, it wasn't a game. And so I had to delete or clear out the page that I was writing. And that was a big surprise. Such a surprise that it stays here. As his parents and him walked out, they were surprised because they thought he was going to UCLA too. Over the course of the last couple hours, the story goes, and this is just a paraphrase version, there was some influence, pressure in the community, not anything illicit or illegal, but pressure to sign with USC, and there was a feeling that that's what he was supposed to do, but not necessarily what he wanted to do. Obviously, he never sent his letter of intent in. I spoke with him real briefly afterwards. Didn't have a whole lot to say. There was kind of a awkward tension there, but then ultimately he stuck with UCLA, and the story goes. Hours of Bro melting down, which is basically any other day on Bro. Then you have,
say how much money they offered?
Did Kiffin offer his wife?
You have the awkward tension of a kid picking USC over UCLA on television, but the one thing White does bring after last year going 9 for 9, or 9 first 9 against head-to-head, White was the only recruit that UCLA has recruited from that SC offered, and so it does keep a shutout from happening, which is good, and hopefully for the future that goes back to more like last year's style instead of this year. And I think 2012 is a class that it's a make or break year. I think, obviously for the coaching staff, but if there was ever a year to have scholarships to really put the effort towards, 2012 is as good a year in Southern California as there ever has been. Despite the lack of success this year, I think on the field there are still plenty of 2012 elite recruits that like UCLA a lot. The job is going to be this spring for the new coaches, the new coordinators especially, to get on the trail early. They've offered a lot of 2012 guys. There's a lot of key 2012 guys that have a lot of high interest in UCLA. So if you guys remember Carl Durrell's last year, that 2007 season, they were able to get a lot of those guys, they did have the SC win, but there was still the uncertainty of his job, and he brought in the Raheem Moore, Tony Dye, that class, and I think that UCLA can, if they can just get back out this year. This 2011 class isn't a strong year. There was some good talent, but the 2012 class, you could tell they've been focusing on trying to hit the ground running with that class by offering a lot of guys early, and it's starting to pay off. So, but as far as the 2011 class is concerned, I can't talk enough about how good Brett Huffman is going to be. Maybe out of necessity, maybe out of hope, but after watching him, I've been to the last 6 Army All-American or Under Armour years, and I've seen Richard Breho, I've seen Nick Chrisman, and they look very good, but Brett Hundley was on a whole other level that entire week. It wasn't just the week or just the game where he had the interception. I know because it's ESPN, it's all going to be Jeff Driscoll and whoever's going to an SEC school, but if you watched over the week, if you listen to the other scout analysts that were there, Brett Hundley was not just the consensus, but really the unanimous choice of the best quarterback that week. So I think there's a lot of hope with Brett Hundley. There's some good talent coming in this year. There's some good talent that redshirted. Jordan James is a guy that I think people are going to be really excited to see. You know, I saw him at our scout combine a couple years ago. He ran a 4.42 40 and wanted to scratch it because he wasn't happy with it. So I've never had a kid with a 4.5 40 or lower ever want to scratch it. That's how fast it is. That he was disappointed with the 4.42. I think he's a guy that UCLA fans will really be excited about with the down here running back wise in California, really in the West. They basically got a freshman running back coming in Jordan James. I think Steven Manfred will bring a nice change of pace to the offense. But this class was about depth, and UCLA did solve a lot of those problems there. I don't know much about the kid that was committed to Iowa. I don't know much about Will Oliver, but from what I saw in his film, it does look like there's a little bit of potential there. He's got some real good leg bend there. He's not, you know, a big body guy. He looks athletic. Devin Lucien is a very, very good pickup. I've been saying this since last spring that for all the hype about Devon Blackman, who ESPN ranks as the #1 athlete in the country, I would take Devin Lucien over him every day of the week because Devin Lucien's a receiver, and Devin Lucien, he's basically a bigger, faster, stronger Ricky Marbury type of receiver where you can't jam him. There's a lot of knock on his speed, but I saw a lot of DBs this year chasing after him and not catching him. So Lucien and Hundley, you know, could become my very first screen name back in the old days on Bro with McNown and McElroy. So maybe in a few years from now, some little punk 17-year-old kid will have a screen name Hundley to Lucien. No pressure there, but I think Lucien is a good way to end this class, and then obviously getting Torian White to sign tonight is a nice bonus. But I don't think it's as dire as some people on a certain website want it to be. From the crank pool, it's not as bad, but you just got to keep thinking that those coaches are going to keep recruiting at a high level. And you know, this year is, if you look at the last 3 classes, they've done a great job. This year may not be what we've gotten used to the last couple of years, but I really am confident this year's an aberration, and we'll see more 2009, 2010 type classes and impact players in the future.
Right on.
Question. Your comments on our 2 new coordinators, Mike Johnson and Rocky Sato.
As far as I know, there's only 1 new coordinator, Mike Johnson. I'm not going to comment on Rocky Sato strategically. All I do know is as a recruiter, I've talked to a lot of USC recruits over the years, and Rocky Sato is almost always one of the first names that they mention. He's a great recruiter, very good guy that I think you guys will really connect with. He's a lot like Clark Lee, where he's younger. He understands how you need to recruit kids these days. In the Pac-10, in the country, there's a lot of old school recruiters that they don't want to do the hard work necessary. Everybody here is talking about how does Tosh Dupois do it? How does he keep getting these kids? He's a young guy who's energetic and aggressive, and I think, you know, if Sato is the new defensive coordinator, you can bet that he's going to be let loose as a recruiter, not unlike what Dwayne Watson was when he came to UCLA. And Sato's a name that a lot of high school coaches in this community know, and so that's just from that recruiting standpoint, which is where most of my knowledge comes from. I think it's a good hire.
Is that a done deal?
I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, there's been no announcement. But I do know Mike Johnson's in it.
Is there an announcement? Okay. Brandon, you have to.
I get to go around to see Anthony Thomas pick whatever school he's going to pick. And
Make a prediction.
I still say, even though everybody's telling me Oregon, I still say by the time it gets down to it, he's going to pick USC. I've seen this movie plenty of times, and it usually plays out the same way, but
Bigger offer.
that just means that's one person for them.
Let's give a big clap for Brandon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight. All right.